So one way to make some sense of the science, engineering, technology more than the science, engineering technology heritage of this country and the contributions of the ancient people in this country is to actually look at some of the physical structures. You may be wondering why. See, we all know the Indian civilization is a living tradition. And we have a rich heritage of practices and systems that continue till date, despite some periodic disturbances from time to time. There are several ancient physical entities still in use or in a preserved condition. You know, if you take the Roman Colosseum is actually a monument, whereas you have Tanjavur temple which is 1000 years old and people are thronging to it every day. So many of these physical entities are still in use. The iron pillar is still frequented by everybody and it's all there and so on. These indeed can offer valuable insights into the status of science and technology in India. The footprints of science and technology left behind by ancient Indians in the form of monuments, physical specimens is too large to be meaningfully analyzed and presented in a concise form. I don't think we should, there are some UNESCO sites, if you take Archaeological Survey of India, there are some 55,000, a million kind of sites, and it's too large. We can't do that. So maybe a useful starting point is the UNESCO approved World Heritage Sites in India. There are about 30-40 of them, I think. And these sites represent the developments in culture and social systems, accumulated knowledge and skills of the society at that time, and serve as an outstanding example of architecture or technology, so many things. These heritage sites also portray the ideas, living traditions, and artistic and literary works of the times when they were created. So that's another reason why it may be a good idea to look at these heritage sites. So what we have done is we have gone up to 12th century, because most of the heritage sites belong to that. So we took up to 12th century and identified 12th century CE and identified what are those sites which are there and what do they actually inform us. So let us look at a table to understand that. The first one is the rock shelters of Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh, apparently 30,000 years old, and 5 clusters of rock shelters with paintings. Some of them dated to 100,000 BCE, astonishing. 2000 CE, amongst dense forest and 21 villages reflect the tradition displayed in these rock paintings. Paintings are probably intact. Champanir Pavagad Archaeological Park in Gujarat, prehistoric 8th to 14th century CE. Okay. Largely unexcavated archaeological, historic and living cultural heritage properties, which includes a hill fortress of an early Hindu capital, remains of a 16th century capital of Gujarat state, and so on. The Mahabodhi temple complex at Bodh Gaya is world famous, 3rd century BCE to 6th century CE. The first temple was built by Emperor Ashoka in 260 BCE. The oldest temple in the Indian subcontinent built during Gupta period. Sanchi, again a famous place in Madhya Pradesh, 2nd century BCE to 12th century CE. It has a group of Buddhist monuments dated between 200 and 100 BCE. Pillars, palaces, temples, all these can give a whole lot of ideas about some of these concepts that of science and technology. Ajanta caves, 6th century to 2nd century CE, which is a good 1400 years plus. 31 rock cut cave monuments, absolutely fabulous. Paintings which are there, very beautiful. Archaeological site of Nalanda Mahavihara at Nalanda, 5th to 12th century CE. Monastic and scholastic institution, ancient Indian university, etc., etc. Elephanta caves in Maharashtra, 5th century to 8th century CE. Again, it has sculptures and Buddhist caves and so on. All these are there. Ellora caves is another beautiful thing to see. Mix of artistic creation of ancient civilization in India. Beautiful paintings in the rock walls which are all unfaded. This is again another very interesting thing that you see. Mahabalipuram, 40 monuments. We will see in one of the videos why this is so important. The granite architecture, temples and all that started only with Mahabalipuram actually. Hill forts of Rajasthan, it has a lot of things to see. Forts, how some of those famous forts which are there, which we are also aware of it and so on. Pattadakal in Karnataka is a great place to see. We have beautiful temple architectural features of Nagara and Dravidia. 9 temples are there. The Virupaksha temple is supposed to be great. Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh, a group of surviving monuments, fusion of sculpture and architecture and unique original artistic creation and so on. The Chola temples in Tamil Nadu, which are all 11th century to 12th century CE. Brigadishwara temple, about which we already spoken in one of the initial videos. All these temples bring a host of ideas on architecture, sculpture, painting and so on. We will see some details of South Indian and Khajuraho temples a little bit in one of the future videos. Rani Ki Vav, the step well, how there were quite a bit of artistic step wells which could have played a very important role in watershed management. The Qutub Minar in Delhi, which is a red sandstone tower of 72.5 meters high. It also has this iron pillar in that campus. The Mauryan time iron pillar is there. The Sun Temple Konark in Orissa, built in the form of chariot Surya with 24 wheels. There are a lot of astronomical details there, sun clocks, all those kind of things are there. So this is another example to actually see. So look at some of these. For example, the iron pillars in the country may point to certain aspect of metallurgy and material science, as the archaeological evidence presented we saw it in the previous module seem to allude. On the other hand, large granite structures, temples, forts, stepwells, all these suggest that appropriate stone cutting tools ought to have been developed. Intricate sculptures and paintings in the caves, they indicate highly skilled and well developed iconography, and then the painting which stand the test of time, dyes and chemicals issues, those kinds of technology, all these ought to have been in place. As I told you, the chemical technology pertaining to dyes and colors is required to create these mural paintings that have stood the test of time. So merely looking at these structures itself may give us a lot of clue that there are different dimensions of science and technology which we have been able to put to use from time immemorial. So in the future videos, we look at some of these, look at the dyes, we look at the temples, we look at the stepwells, we look at some of these in a little bit of a detail and try to understand how these dimensions of science and technology, engineering, science and technology have pervaded into the ancient Indian living. That's what we will do in some of the future videos that follow this. Thank you.